What's up, guys? I'm Jacob.
And I'm Mac.
Today we're going to cover a couple of theories and some evidence about the North American Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Yep, that's right. We got a lot of different kinds of different types of evidence, so sit back and we'll take you through it all. I think it's probably best to start with the history and how long we've been experiencing Bigfoot.
Personally?
Well, no, just as people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They go back hundreds of years.
He's not recent by any means.
No.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of older generations of people and native people that are witnessing phenomena.
Yeah. Exactly. They have referred to him as, like the big man, the wild man, the older brother. Every tribe and wherever they're from has a different viewpoint and name for him. Some of them think that he's a bridge between man and animal, and both mentally and spiritually. And in that belief, they think that when he makes an appearance, that it's a signal that they're in the middle of troubled times and they need to get back more in tune with Mother Earth and nature, and that there's a need to change or cleanse.
Kind of like an omen.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then there's some that believe that they're just another tribe of people or something with their own land and territories, and that it's kind of best to keep peace by leaving them alone. Those people think he's more, they use the analogy of not intelligent ape, but hair-covered aboriginal man.
Okay.
And then they're not usually able to speak human languages, but they'll use whistles and grunts and gestures like body language to communicate with each other, and I guess people too. And there's, stories of them, like don't go out at night alone because the Bigfoot might get you.
Yeah, like a boogeyman.
Yeah, and it said that male Bigfoot are able to mate with human women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that goes the other way around or not. And then they also believe that, if you're walking in the woods and you hear big sounding stick hit against a hollow log or tree, that's, to them, that means we know you're there. Know that we know you're there, and, behave or pay attention,
Right.
And then, there's, among other things, they think that some natives think that they can cloak, come between completely invisible or just like partially, and then with the completely invisible, some think that that's just going into a portal and reappearing.
Wow.
And then a lot of natives think that they communicate telekinetically or telepathically, where they they tell you, not necessarily like are talking to you in your head, but they'll give you a feeling of a specific feeling, like, oh, I probably shouldn't go this way and I should probably turn around, or like the not the feeling of being watched, but I know I'm being watched.
Right.
Stuff like that,
Where it almost kicks in an instinct in your brain.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they're that's really the natives, if you think, those are the original peoples of this land.
Yeah, and these are, stories from hundreds and hundreds of years of, oral history, not...
Right, and not only one tribe, too.
Yeah, this is across the whole continent.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really cool theory that a lot of people will, follow that. Another one that I like to entertain is that they're a branch off of the hominid bush, an uncatalogued species of hominid.
So, our cousins in a way, right?
Yeah, in a way. There's known cataloged species of hominid that we wouldn't even call human that are technically by DNA human.
Yeah. And most of those are not, bald skinned like us.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're more hairier than us.
Yeah, they're hairier. They have different bone structure in some ways. Exactly, totally separate from what we would associate as a human. And that's a theory that I like to entertain, is that they, developed maybe in the 2 to 1.5 million to 1 million years ago time frame, and have been able to sustain a small population.
So they've been around before us, and do you think they've been just watching us?
I think that they, in a sense, they've kept tabs on us.
Okay.
Because they see the way that how fast we develop, and
it's probably a good thing to watch.
Right.
Or keep in mind.
I mean, even tigers don't want to be around, human development. So there's other apex predators and other smarter large mammals that want to stay totally clear from humans. I think that also that would allow them a time frame to where they wouldn't have had a Cro-Magnon period where they would have developed a art side of their brain and, a structure like how we have communities and,
social stuff.
Yeah. Well, more than a social side. I mean, a totally, that's why they don't leave remnants or anything around, because they're not creating stuff. They're only using their environment to acquire what they need, and that's it.
So do you think they're smart enough for basic tools?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely think that they're smart enough for basic tools.
As do I.
But they don't take the tools. They might, reuse a stick or something, but they're not going to engrave a stick. And,
okay.
So, they have the aspects of cavemen and Neanderthals and all that, those early humans, but they didn't go in the same direction as we did.
Got it.
So some of the evidence that we want to look at today includes a couple really good trackways, some casts.
Let's start with what we think is the most conclusive. The obvious, you can't deny this with this many, and it's footprints, casts.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That genre of evidence is just so huge.
Specifically,
there's, and really, if you think about it, is there someone that's going around faking thousands and thousands
over 150 years of modern recording or whatever?
Right, yeah. It's unfathomable.
Yeah. Well, if you guys are interested in some casts, you should look up the London Trackway. It was a guy walking his dog on a dog trail. His name was Max Roy. And another dog walker told him about some Bigfoot footprints he had seen down the ways. And when he went and checked them out, he saw 2 or 3 of them. And he returned to photograph them later that day. And he eventually got a phone call from a friend or something that there were more, and so he ended up coming back and making 150 or 200 casts.
Yeah, in a whole trackway.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's a whole gallery of the footprints, and it's one of the best and biggest galleries of footprints castings out there.
Man. Yeah, really something that's undisputable.
Yeah.
What other mammal in Oregon, that was in Oregon, right?
Yeah, Eugene.
Is going to go out there and make, these large human-sized tracks and, leave you an entire, I guess it's plausible, but it's just, the factors don't line up. Another good one for casting and for tracks is the Skookum body cast.
Oh, yeah.
That
Totally
one,
different.
yeah, that one caught my eye in 2000 when I was a little kid, because I had only thought of Bigfoot and their footprints. That was it. There wasn't, there was a shaky footage of something in the early 60s, but to see a body cast, and again, this is the Skookum body cast. BFRO has a really good section on it on their website. To see a body cast and a recreation of what they think this Sasquatch did, where it laid down on its side and reached over a little section of mud to grab fruit out of this gifting area, that just blew my mind. To think that they're
Smart enough to avoid it.
yeah, they're smart enough to avoid it, and if they're gonna leave, if they're gonna leave a print, they're gonna make it the most hardest print to
something awkward, like what is going on?
Yeah, exactly. So that sent it into an entire another dimension for me, where it was like, oh my gosh, these things, they know when they're gonna be found or when not to be found. They can turn it on and off to how much they want to expose themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Another good one is to look up the Bossberg Cripplefoot tracks. This took place around late November 1969, with tracks that look like a crippled right foot were found near the city dump. The track maker was believed to be some kind of injured Bigfoot and was dubbed the Bossberg Cripple and is now known as Cripplefoot. I believe there are a couple casts of it somewhere.
There are. I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah.
And the bone structure that they have recreated with the injuries are pretty crazy.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. Someone ran over his foot or something.
Yeah, something there. That was a major injury. And then the size of the cast too, compared to an actual person's foot.
Oh yeah.
That's a 16, probably 18-inch cast. And this thing, they would see it around the dump. They would see it around town. And they, wouldn't pursue it or anything. It wasn't until a guy came out and said that he had trapped one, a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, in a mine, and it drew a lot of attention to the town, and he came out and it ended up being fake.
A hoax, yeah.
And so that kind of watered down everything that the mainstream community would have seen as conclusive in this case. But it's still today. I mean, if you guys check it out, it's just so interesting to see that it puts a physical aspect to them, to where it's not just a fake foot making these. This is an actual living and breathing entity that can be injured, can be hurt. It's just it's a whole nother thing it's another point of view to look at.
Yeah, that's near the Washington, Canada border.
Yeah, that's up there. I believe it's a ghost town now.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting place. There's definitely a lot of activity up in eastern Washington. Some other good places to look at for evidence and tracks in specific is cliffbrackman.com.
You can find the London Trackway photos there.
The London Trackway, they have, 70?
I don't know.
It's like 100 and something. But yeah, Cliff's got a lot of good stuff, a lot of research that he's done. There's links to a lot of different... 126 in the London Trackway.
Damn.
That's insane. If you guys want to go to his website, big shout out to Cliff. So there's tracks. There's undeniable tracks. There's footprints. There's body casts. There's knuckle prints. There's
A wide range, yeah. It's not just the same looking footprint over different places and different times. Like, it's different kinds of footprints.
right.
Doing different things.
Now, for DNA, it gets a little bit harder,
Yeah.
but there have been some actual studies.
I mean, there's always been people who have found, like, fur and stuff caught on trees. Like, that's always been a thing with the footprints, too, but we haven't always been able to...
To capture that.
Yeah, DNA is still a pretty recent discovery in terms of
Yes.
deciphering and everything.
Correct. Yeah, and so it would make sense that up until recently, there's been no DNA. There's been no,
Yeah. 'Cause we
you know,
couldn't-
even the thought of getting Bigfoot DNA 20 years ago was totally out of the window.
Exactly. There are cases of it, though.
Yes, and there's a couple that we're going to highlight.
Yeah.
Melba Ketchum in particular was a huge study that I remember when it was happening, hearing about it on Coast to Coast AM and other alternative paranormal talk radio stations. And it was really... There's some parts of it where I'm like, I'm on the fence, but the fact that it was like years of data that was collected
Yeah.
from multiple different, samples from all around the world, and in a blind review,
It passed flying
it totally
colors.
passed
Yeah.
in the exact labs that are refuting it.
But because it was Bigfoot,
Because it's Bigfoot, and because there's
they
that
didn't take it very seriously, and
Nope.
they refused to publish it or anything like that.
it took them 5 years to finally find someone to publish it, and then 5 minutes before it was supposed to go public, they backed out.
Yep.
And so what they did is they actually bought the publishing company,
Yeah, and just published it themselves.
published it themselves, and that, left a huge taste in people's mouths. And it was like these people, they're getting mocked, they're getting totally
Yeah.
their reputation's tarnished. It's just incredible how quick and decisive the scientific community is.
Bunch of divas and cats.
It's just incredible. So that is one that we encourage everybody to look at. And all this stuff that we're bringing to the attention of everybody is form your own conclusion.
Yes.
We're just bringing it up. We're giving you guys a start and say, check these things out.
Yeah, point you in the right direction.
Because
to look
there is no body, there is no answer to any of this.
No.
So it's all speculation, but some of it has a little bit more credence than others, and some of it's not going to kill you to look into.
No, yeah. And so that's a collection of DNA. There have been other private studies done and stuff.
Right.
A good example of private study is the Snell Grove Lake incident.
Yes.
So a guy has a cabin in the middle of nowhere that's only accessible by like one of those water.
Snell Grove Lake, Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
Continue.
It's only accessible by those floating water planes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And a guy comes back to visit his property, and it's all thrashed up.
Totally trash.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
Everything. The cabinets ripped off the walls. The sink detached. The fridge turned over.
Yeah, like somebody had partied there, except without
Without evidence
booze.
of a party.
Yeah.
There was a party, but it didn't seem to be like one that we want to attend.
Yeah, and so there's a insurance claim and everything on it. That it's legitimately it happened. But he ended up leaving, and he left a board with like 50 or 60 screws screwed through it, and then set upside down so the screws are facing up. And when he eventually came back, it had gotten ransacked once again. But whatever it was stepped on that board and left like a 17-inch footprint in it, and they were able to get, because it was screws, DNA, because it pulled it out when they lifted the foot, and a little bit, so tissue and a little bit of fur.
Yeah, it's that is just crazy that, you know, whatever was attacking this cabin left and it looks like a foot. It looks like
absolutely. The outline, yeah.
The outline of the blood. You know, they had Dr. Jeff Meldrum on
Monster Quest.
Monster Quest did an episode on it, and
they actually got not attacked, but rocks thrown at them.
Yeah, they had some crazy. They had rocks thrown at them. They had a big log thrown at them.
Again, it's like 200 kilometers away from people.
Right.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's insanely isolated.
Yeah.
And they took DNA off of the screw board, and it came back as non-human, near human, but not human. And I mean, I don't know if
that doesn't mean bear.
That doesn't mean bear, because it would come back as bear.
Yeah.
It would come back as caribou. It would come back as elk.
Yeah. So
moose. It wouldn't come back as near human, but not human.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, what other animals in Canada have near human DNA?
Humans. That's it.
Humans and
I mean,
probably Sasquatch.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's a really, in our eyes, is a incredible story.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the fact that somebody had a problem with the Sasquatch, and then years and years later, when somebody goes and investigates it, it's still there.
Yeah, exactly. You know? It's it's incredible.
Two completely different parties, yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's just a couple DNA evidence.
Right, those are two incidences.
Yeah,
those are,
you know.
I guess the Melba Ketchum study is a few of them.
Yeah.
But still, that's not, you know, everybody that has had an experience, you know, hasn't come forth. Like, there's still the majority of people out there, the majority of Bigfoot DNA is probably locked
private
away.
Collections,
Somebody's shed that they're going to take to their grave.
Oh, yes. I mean, and that's so far what we've done, tracks and DNA.
Yeah.
Don't even get us started on sounds.
Yeah, sounds. There's some. We're gonna. Well, we'll get into them.
Yeah, I think just like the tracks, sounds captured by different people in different areas are all very, very similar.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's whoops, howls, wood knocks, grunts and stuff,
whistles.
Yeah, they're all very similar, and they're not a specific animal that we already know of.
They're not human.
Yeah,
they're not
because of the register and the range.
Right. Yeah. There's sounds that people are hearing. You know, something like people report infrasound,
which is sound that is outside of our hearing register. That's for those who don't know. Correct.
Thank you. And it's incredible do we have some? We have some. Some popular sounds.
So this is the Ohio howl. This is Columbia, Ohio, 1994, and you're gonna hear a dog as well. Just ignore that. Listen for the siren-like howl. I don't know about you guys, but that, yeah, it does sound like a siren, but that's no ambulance.
No, not at all.
No, yeah.
That's no. There's no elk that I've ever heard that have made that. There's no bear.
So that's the Ohio howls. Some more. There's some sounds caught by Ron Moorhead in the Sierra Nevadas.
Yes, Northern California.
Yeah, those are known as the Sasquatch or the Sierra sounds.
Yeah, those are really, really cool because
it's a variety of stuff.
Right. It's not just howls. It's not just whoops. You know, there's almost a language there, and they've actually had linguistic specialists study it and come to the conclusion that it is a language.
Some sort.
Of some sort. Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, let's take a listen to a portion of that.
These ones like this. Some reaction. Like laughing. That's our job. Now we know where we look for tracks of life for sure. Thought I heard them cross the creek.
Man.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything right there.
You're right. I don't know what else. I mean, that's like you said. That's more than just whoops. It's more than just wood knocks. That's an entire language.
So that was the Sierra Sounds by Ron Moorhead. Definitely check the full video out on those.
Yeah, and everything that we're playing for you is on YouTube.
Yes.
It's accessible.
Yes. You guys should definitely check out the Ohio Hells too.
Yeah, those are. I think Matt Moneymaker's the one that recorded those.
I'm not sure.
He started or founded BFRO, and also Finding Bigfoot on Animal Planet.
Got it.
So that was his claim to fame, if you will. But he's since then, he's collected thousands and thousands of reports, a huge database.
Nice. So that was just sounds. We've done tracks and DNA.
Yeah, people always say there's no photos or there's no videos.
Well, that's just BS.
Right.
A good one to look up is the Paul Freeman footage. This is a guy in the Blue Mountains outside of Walla Walla, Washington. He reportedly had, seen him there a couple times. And in that particular video that we're referring to, he was actually doing some casts in some mud, and he was following the tracks. He hadn't cast them all. He was just following, seeing where they went. They went to the water, then they went back.
In different size casts as well, too. They think that it was a family of them.
Yeah, and he went back to like a dirt road, I guess. I could see tracks coming and going, and he was just following them, and he looked up, and I don't know, what'd you say, like 30, 40 yards away?
Yeah.
There's one crossing the
trail.
Yeah, behind a tree.
Behind a tree, and then it cuts in front of a tree, which gives you a good,
reference
for size.
And then he follows it around for a couple minutes.
Yeah, he loses it in the brush, but it's You see it, and it's like, okay, that's probably 8.5 to 9.5 foot.
Yeah.
Adult male.
All right. I mean, and he's got some clear shots too.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's really. I mean, it's pretty undeniable when you see it, and you're like, okay, and his reaction to it is one of the most honest reactions.
It's pretty genuine.
It's if any one of us saw it, we would have the exact same reaction.
Exactly. Yes.
Which rest in peace. He has passed on from now.
That was the Paul Freeman footage.
Yeah, Paul Freeman footage. The Memorial Day footage is a really good one too. That was highlighted on in Dr. Jeff Meldrum's book that they turned into a video or a movie, Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. And in this one, it's a family that's camping, and they're out fishing on the lake, and then they're coming back, and they see something up on the hill, and they're looking at it through binoculars. The kids are seeing it, and the camera pans to it, and it comes running out, it being a Sasquatch, comes running out from a tree line and crosses probably a 150 to 200 yard stretch of hillside. Part of it dips behind a little in a little crevasse in the hill, and then it comes out and it's walking for the last 50 feet into the tree line, and you could tell it's bipedal. You could tell that it's navigating the terrain like it knows it,
and it's getting from point A to point B very fast, and not with a lot of effort.
Right.
Either.
So it's a really good one. Those are some really good videos. What do you got for photos?
The Jacobs photos. Have you heard of those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? Some trail cam pictures.
07.
And, 7. And they were. This is around 2007 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, 9/16/2007.
So nighttime trail cam pictures. So they're the black and white infrared, and you've got some bear cubs sniffing around on the deer feed that they were using as bait just to get pictures of stuff, see what's in the area. And there's a couple bear cubs, definitely not full grown bears. And then in the next picture, something much bigger, not as dark, is bending down, supposedly checking out the bait stuff too. I don't know. That a lot of people think that that's a bear, but that just does not look like a bear to me.
It's what doesn't look like a bear to you?
Everything about it.
I mean, explain for the viewers.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's too thin. The limbs are much too long. So just the proportions of everything don't look right. And then the picture after that, I don't know what it is, but I just doesn't look like a bear to me.
Have you seen a bear? Well, first of all, do bears even have waists?
They have hips.
Okay, so I guess they have waists. Have you ever seen a bear stand up with its hind legs, knees locked, and bend at the waist?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think they can keep their balance.
That goes against everything bears know.
Yeah, that's not what they're taught.
Anatomy wise,
yes.
They're not gonna stand up, lock their legs, and the figure's legs aren't necessarily locked, but they're close enough to be
they're
locked.
very straight, not bent at all, kind of thing.
And it's crazy.
You guys should look those up. You can find them on BFRO. It's the Jacobs photos.
Yeah, those are really good ones.
And then Jacobs got this video about cloaking or.
So it's the Barb and Gabby footage.
Okay.
Barb and Gabby video. If you look up Barbara Shupp, I believe it is, on YouTube, she's got a whole channel. And this video, it's really popular. It's really honest. I don't think that they're faking it. Now, whether it's a cloaked Sasquatch or not, I don't know. But it dang sure looks like Predator, like the movie Predator, the way that he would cloak, and you would see an invisible, quote, invisible, but you see that, the silhouette of something.
Kind of like in video games.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see it from standing still to all of a sudden moving, just barely. It's in the background, but
It's like, it's clear but distorted kind of thing.
Well, you see the sunlight refracting off of it. That's the crazy part to me, is that it's not casting a shadow, but it's taking the sunlight from...
Still distorting it, too.
Right,
Yeah.
so...
It's not straight through.
Something's there, and the way that they react to it, I mean, I can't think of a...
It seems
I can't see
very,
them as being hoaxing it.
Yeah,
you know?
it seems very genuine.
Yes, it does. And at the same time, they've been having activity in that area on that trip. So it was kind of just another drop in the bucket of what...
Yeah, they were kind of keeping their eyes out for it already.
Right, and what happened was they were investigating. One of the team members, or the people that were out there with them, saw what they thought was a juvenile Sasquatch on the ground on all fours. And they were over in the area looking at what, trying to process it. And the camera just happened to be facing this one cut in the trees. And then all of a sudden you see movement in the brush. And it looks like a cloaked humanoid,
Yeah.
scurrying away.
Indeed it does.
Which would coincide with a lot of people's theories that they have mystical abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cloaking,
telekinesis. They can open portals, and they're interdimensional skirmishers, and they're just... which we can't shut that down and deny that because we don't have a solid answer. So anything's on the table.
Yeah, until further conclusive evidence says otherwise.
Correct. But yeah, that's and that expands to a lot of different communities when you go down that route. But it's still something worth noting. And speaking of notable theories or cases, one experience that really caught my eye when I first heard it years ago is the Albert Ostman story. Mm-hmm. And that one is pretty crazy. Mac, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, that took place 1924 in British Columbia. Lumberjack Albert Ostman went out to an area, I guess forest, for vacation. He had heard stories about man beasts in the area, but he did not believe them. And then one night he was sleeping in his sleeping bag, and a Sasquatch picked him up and carried him off, sleeping bag and all. And he said that they carried him for 3 hours in his sleeping bag, and then set him down on some type of plateau, and then suddenly there were a total of 4 of them standing around him, and they kept him hostage or captive for about, I think it was 6 days. They fed him like grass. He said he saw a hierarchy with like a total of 3 adults, one being a female, and then there was a juvenile as well. And then there was one that was larger than all the other ones, presumed to be the male. He said he didn't shoot them because they weren't like harming him anyways. Although
right.
I don't know about the whole kidnapping part.
Oh yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah. And then he eventually got away when one day he was trying to do some of his snuff that he had in his pocket, and the large male took it from him and ate it all. and then started feeling, groggy and sick, and then he took that as his chance to escape. He didn't tell anybody this for like 24 years because he knew he'd be thought of as crazy. But in 1957, he told his story.
Man.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy one. Being kidnapped and then escaping.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be some of the worst nightmares of some of the Sasquatch investigators and researchers. 'Cause I know that's one of my worst nightmares.
Yeah.
Not only having a irrational fear of them being in my backyard in a highly populated area, but also me being anywhere out camping and them scooping you up.
And you just being, you can't do anything about it.
Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna
against an 8-foot, 800-pound animal?
8 to 10 foot, 800 to 1,000-pound adult male Sasquatch. You're not gonna win that. You're gonna lose that fight 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So that's that's probably what you would want to do is just feel it out.
Ride it out until you can get out of there, kind of thing. Yeah.
They're feeding you sweet grasses. Like, they're not. Obviously, if they could kill you, they would have done it. You know?
Exactly.
So.
Precisely.
But yeah, that's a really cool experience that everyone can look into. The Albert Osman story.
All right. Well,
what
do you think? Okay, now that we've gone through all this, what do you think about them? What is your opinion on what they are? Or if they have abilities, where they lay?
So what I think they are, I personally think that they are an uncatalogued species of early hominid that has been able to sustain a small enough population to not only to not only be able to avoid humans for this to an extent for this long, but also be able to not need as much land and as much resources that humans have because we've grown and infiltrated, infested every continent on the planet.
Do you think that they're the missing link?
I don't think they're the missing link. I think that they're an extra branch.
Got it. Yeah.
I think that they share DNA, they share characteristics, they share, basic hominid characteristics.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think that they're so close to humans that we could take one and drop one into our society and it would be able to adapt and thrive.
Okay.
I think that they're a total separate classification of being, of human, of an entirely different species.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
They've been talked about in native oral history and folklore for forever, across the whole country for like so long that there's got to be something there, like
right
with all the pretty consistent stories across the nation and all, but I'm not sure I am all on the boat with the cloaking and portals and stuff like
the mystical aspects.
Yeah. I don't think they're spiritual creatures. I think they're biologically a creature just like you and
flesh
me.
And blood.
Yeah, bears, deer, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any extraordinary abilities other than they probably live long.
Yeah.
And they probably just live low. I wouldn't be surprised if they hibernate like bears or something.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think they're spiritual in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, I want to entertain those thoughts. I want to think that.
Now, if there is conclusive evidence that said otherwise,
oh, absolutely,
I'd change my tune.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. That's the whole point of science. Really, is understanding and adapting to what we now perceive as being, the status quo.
Precisely.
And so if one of these things, if we happen to drop one of these things and bring it to a lab and then all of a sudden cut open its brain and see that it's able to manipulate different dimensions and open portals, that's going to change everything we know. And so getting to that point, we have to entertain those thoughts and say that there is a possibility that it's true, because we can't say it's not.
Precisely.
So, well, yeah, that's kind of our take, a little hot take on the subject. We encourage everybody to get out there, form your own conclusion,
Correct.
Do your own research.
Everything we talked about in this, we will leave links to.
Absolutely.
So you guys can see that all and come to your own conclusions.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
This has been us talking about Bigfoot, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Y'all be safe.